Hi, this is Ron with POCculture.com. Kyle, how are you?
I'm great, Ron. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for chatting with me. I really am intrigued by your character, Karn. But first, I had the opportunity to be in attendance at D23 when you made that your appearance as part of the panel. And I just wanted to ask, how was your experience and just the intensity and passion that you experienced from the fans?
That was it, man. Passion and intensity, which was kind of overwhelming. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was like the biggest party ever, with the coolest people ever, actually. And it's really, that love and support and deep desire for this story to come out and be told has really only started to dawn on me within the last couple months from doing press, because when we filmed it, we were quite literally in a bubble 2 years ago. And I think I'd forgotten about how much Star Wars and this legacy means to people. You could get a 7-year-old and an 80-year-old chatting about the same characters, the same films, the same TV shows, the same stories, and I don't know another pop cultural phenomenon that can do that right now. And so, yeah, man, it was pretty wild on Saturday.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. There are a few fandoms and franchises that span the generations like Star Wars does. So get ready for it to get a lot wilder in the coming
Right.
weeks for you.
Okay.
um, at the presentation, Kathleen Kennedy described your character as somebody the audiences will love to hate. And I'd just love to hear about your process of just creating a character that obviously isn't going to be cheered for, but making it an interesting character. Like, what are your goals with the character?
Well, I think the goals really were just located in doing what Tony Gilroy had written, and the strength of everything that you just said is what Tony had created. I remember chatting to him at the very beginning, working out the character, and I was like, I really need to know, where does he end up? I want to plant the seeds. We're talking about 5 years, and he said he could go here, he could go there. I don't know, man. And Tony's not stupid. He's really smart. And I think he knew what he was doing. He was allowing me to sit within the unknown and the gray area of that character, which actually can be quite dangerous. Like, at this moment, will he be willing to kind of risk everything and jump over that line? Or will he not? And so I think that complexity, that real light and shade of Syril, it exists within all these characters that we're exploring in Andor, actually. And everyone's the hero of their own journey, but everybody's also the rebel, kind of, in their own story and their own structures of their own lives. And being able to explore his humanity, and you get to understand where Syril comes from. You get to meet his mother. You get to see his childhood bedroom, and
Right.
that's so un-Star Warsy to me, and was so refreshing to kind of go like, wow, you really get the domesticity and the intimacy of what actually makes this character tick. And so I hope everybody enjoys the show, but I think they'll get an idea of who he is and what he's trying to become. Because that's also the other thing. Each one of these characters is in a process of becoming. And Syril is completely in flux. He doesn't know who he is, really. And he's looking for that validation and that approval from the fascist structure of the empire, which is super problematic to do that, right, in your life. And so yeah, that's a very long-winded way of saying I think what was on the page and what's there, it is enough of a 360-degree view that people kind of be able to understand where he's from. But if they love to hate him, then I'm cool with that.
No, I think that's an incredible answer. And the thing about great villains that make them so great often in these works of art is that they don't know they're the villains. Like you said, they're the hero of their own story.
Totally.
And so it's fascinating to hear you talk about that. I'm curious, as you prepared for the role, were there any real or fictional characters, villains, heroes, anybody that you kind of drew a little bit from and as reference points?
Not really. I mean, the again, what Tony had written was so fully formed, and I mean, there are, look, I've seen all the films, right? Like I grew up with them, and I think those Star Wars villains kind of live in the walls somewhere, you know, if you're on one of these sets. But I didn't take cues from anyone. And certainly within, you know, history and also works of fiction, like there have been so many stories about people who lose themselves to a cause and who try to find themselves in a movement, and especially between the world wars. And that was a point of reference for me. Yeah.
That's fascinating. You know, I think what's really interesting about your character, we know, unfortunately, what happens to, you know, Cassian, because we've seen Rogue One. But a
Yeah.
character like yours, like you said, that Tony mentioned, the possibilities are open. Um, it- how would you like the audience to, what would you like them to know about your character as he grows and develops?
Yeah, well, I think you'll see a little bit more of the same. You'll see somebody's really in the adolescence of his kind of internal life, moving into the adult section of his internal life. And I think you'll see someone who finds someone who kind of engenders hope within himself that he can achieve the things that he wants to achieve. Because what you see further into this first series is you see that the dominating environment and the constrictive environment of his upbringing, and how that has really defined his aesthetic, you know, how he looks and how he approaches life. And you'll see somebody who's really willing to risk his life for other people and for a greater cause. And he very much is on the Empire side, but you see him do things a little bit differently. And um, and yeah, I think you see him kind of grow up a bit.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your thoughtful answers. Really excited about your character. Can't wait to watch him go through that process. Congratulations.
Thanks, dude. Thanks so much.